We've got 5:30. Commissioner Simmons is on our way, but we're gonna go ahead and start. Sheriff, you want to lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call.
Benny David,
Here.
Roger Mayhew,
Yes.
Charles Wiltie,
Yes.
Brenda Simmons, Craig Scott.
Here.
Item 2, approval of the agenda. You said we are planning on removing 9C?
Yes.
Anything else?
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda with change.
Motion from Commissioner Scott,
I'll support.
support from Commissioner Wiltie. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 3, declaration of conflicts of interest.
I have none myself.
I have none.
I don't have any either. Item 4, review of minutes for a September 12th, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
I read the minutes and I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
We have a motion from Commissioner Scott,
I'll support.
support from Commissioner Wiltie. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 4B, September 19th, 2024. Committee of the whole meeting minutes.
I've read the minutes and I will make a motion.
Support.
Motion from Commissioner Wiltie, support from Commissioner Scott. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 4C, September 24th, 2024, special committee of the whole meeting minutes.
I read the minutes and I'll make a motion to accept them as presented.
We have a motion from Commissioner Scott,
Support that.
support from Commissioner Wiltie. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, public comment and agenda item only. Is there any public comment in the room on agenda items only?
I do.
Oh, come on up, sir.
My name is Dean Coleman and I'm running for,
Hold on. Hold on for a second. You know the rules?
I know the rules, I
Let me-
watch them.
Let me state them. State your name for the record. Speak only to the chairperson when speaking. Stand behind the podium when speaking. You can have a seat. Limit comments to 3 minutes if you're and follow the direction of the chairperson when speaking.
I'm Dean Coleman. I'm running for Foster Township Supervisor. Just want to introduce myself. I know a lot of people here. I have a couple questions. I know you're probably not going to answer them right now, but one is how come we're doing prisoners to Gladwin for $30 a head? And it cost us $67 a head to house them here. I don't understand why it's $67 and they're gonna take them for $30 down there. And another question is we're all kicking the can down the street, as Craig always says. What happens when the can can't get kicked no more and the state comes in? Then what happens? I have a lot of questions about that because it seems like we're not balancing the budget. We haven't balanced the budget. We've had this bond thing for the jail since who knows how long. Has it ever? People off and left the sheriff with nobody and you know, you always ask about 24/7. I hear that all the time on your meetings. But the FBI, Secret Service, everybody cannot get people to work in law enforcement anymore. And I think it needs to stop about what the 24/7 road patrol, because I know the sheriff's trying to get people and you laid 3 people off, which we should have kept. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Hey, come on up.
Hi, everyone. I know last week there was some discussion on scenario A and B. And I would encourage that the board here would support that scenario A. I'm faced with the lockup. I got to deal with it. Cards has been passed out to me, and I get that. But you guys are leaning on me to make that work. I'll do my best on that, but you're leaning on me to do that. I'm gonna lean back on you that I need the tools to make that happen. And I need people, I need command officers. I can't run that office with one sergeant. It's impossible. I have to report to the state on things. I have the internal workings of our office has to be dealt with on a daily basis. One sergeant cannot do that. Today I had 2 lieutenants retire. I want to backfill that. So actually I'm giving up 1 lieutenant. So in all reality, this scenario A will be 1 lieutenant and 2 sergeants. I'm giving that 1 lieutenant up in order to make this work. I can't make this happen without the help surrounding me. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes that no one knows about. And I don't expect you people to know that, but there's a lot of things going on and I need them command officers. It's in the budget. It's in our millage budget. It's there. Our fund balance would be $82,000 roughly. You know, if we want that other scenario, 82, 88, 3. So the fund balance is there. The money's there. Obviously, the people of Ogemaw County want law enforcement. They want it. It's been voted in twice now. I can't get the personnel yet, but I'm working hard to get it and we will get there. But I've got to have the command staff to watch over and make sure everything is done correctly. Because if it's not done correctly, we're looking at possible lawsuits and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of unknowns over there with this lockup that I don't even know. And I need help. I'm going to reach out to my people to help me do this, to do my very best. The integrity in my office is huge. We will do what we have to do to make it happen, but I need tools to do it. If I don't have the tools, I can't do the job. Plain and simple. Brenda came in. I wanted to kind of touch base with you because you're in the military and you know how important that it is to have command officers, command staff to make sure the jobs get done. So,
And I understand that,
Hold
but
on, we're at 3 minutes and I apologize. I think.
Okay.
Can you comment during public hearing? Right now, we're at public comment.
that's okay. I just encourage you to support scenario 1 to help me do my job and give me the tools that I need to get the job done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Any public comment in the room?
I have a question. Will the sheriff have an opportunity to discuss this more with us?
That's what I asked, and he said yes during public hearing. Any other public comment on the phone? We've got a couple of hands up. Is there an April? Tom, are you able to hear us?
I can hear you fine.
Is
Can
there
you
a-
hear me?
Yep, there you go.
Okay. I just would like to say that looking through the board packet, I seen that possible of raises for commissioners for the next 3 following years. And maybe a few others. I feel in the financial state we're in, there should be no raises given whatsoever. And I also feel that it's a poor decision to close the jail. Thank you.
I get a name.
What was your name, April?
April Mason.
Thank you. There's somebody else with their hand up. Tom, are you unmuting?
Why is there?
Take it on mute. That's been doing that since the beginning. I think George might have an issue.
Okay, can you unmute? Anybody else on the phone have a public comment? There's a couple hands up. Is that Commissioner Scott?
I don't want to answer the question. Could you maybe just tell the person to reread the resolution?
We're gonna get there. We're gonna read the
Okay.
resolution out
All right,
loud.
fine.
Jeez,
Did that happen a
Any-
little while back again?
any other public comment? I think there's a Bruce.
That's the mouse.
Oh, okay.
It's white.
Okay. There'll be another opportunity later on in the meeting. Item 6, public hearing. The purpose of this public hearing is to provide an opportunity for citizens to provide input associated pending decisions of the Board of Commissioners regarding the proposed fiscal year 2025 budget. Public comment about the proposed budget will be heard as required by the Budget Hearings of Local Government Act. Established rules for public comment will apply. Oh, we need a motion to go into public hearing?
You can declare it open.
It's open, public hearing. Anybody have anything to say?
I have no idea.
Anybody in the room? Anybody on the phone? Motion to close public hearing?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 7, we did receive correspondence from Crawford County related to opposition of the use of state lands by camping grayling. And 7B, correspondence from District Health Department number 2 related to marijuana operations and oversight grant report. Those have been received and filed. Item 8, consent agenda. I think we need to take each one of these individually. Are you guys okay with that?
Can we pass could we combine the two, transit together? I mean, that was gone over very well with the, department head,
Item 8A and 8B.
A and B. It was, that was pretty well explained.
That's fine. Item 8A, resolution to accept transit tire purchase quote, and item 8B, resolution to accept a quote for transit paving project.
I'll make a motion to consent agenda the two.
We have a motion, Commissioner Scott. Any support on that?
Yeah.
Support from Commissioner Mayhew. Any discussion? Mr. Blamer and the new transit director were here and, over that, in the committee of the whole.
Yep.
No further discussion, roll call vote?
Jenny David.
Yes.
What are we voting on?
Item 8A and 8B, tires in the paving project
For transit.
for transit.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get myself together.
Okay,
Okay, I got it. I know what it is.
okay. Roll call vote?
Jenny David.
Yes.
Roger Mayhew.
Yes.
Charles Wiltie.
Yes.
Brenda Simmons.
Yes.
Craig Scott.
Yes.
Item 8C, resolution to approve a contract to provide indigent counsel. This resolution is sponsored by Probate Court Judge Scott Williams, the Ogemaw County 34th Circuit Court, Family Division, and the Ogemaw County Probate Court. By statute and constitution, must provide legal counsel for indigent individuals who are economically unable to obtain legal representation. Approval of the proposed resolution will authorize an agreement with 6 local attorneys to provide such services at a cost not to exceed $115,080 for fiscal year 2025.
I will make a motion to approve the resolution for a contract to provide an indigent counsel.
Support.
We have a motion from Commissioner Scott, support from Commissioner Wiltie. Discussion?
Yes, I have some discussion.
Yeah, go ahead. I
You
think
know,
Tim,
I'm gonna ask, don't you?
Yeah.
Is this the right grant to go with this? Or is it not?
This is not the MIDC grant. This is the Indigent Council for primarily probate court. It's 2 separate matters. So the MIDC is the one that is primarily for people who have been arrested and can't afford an attorney. And that's the grant funding that Commissioner Simmons is referring to that we receive from the state. This is a budgeted allocation each year that you'll find in the probate court budget. And it is actually the same amount as last year. So you could even compare year to year to see where that falls. But definitely 2 separate, and my apologies for not making that clear at committee of the whole last week. But it is, as stated by the chair, this is a mandated function or mandated service that has to be provided by them through the probate court.
so this is correct.
It is.
Any further questions? Roll call vote?
Roger Mayhew.
Yes.
Charles Wiltie.
Yes.
Brenda Simmons.
Yes.
Craig Scott.
Yes.
Jenny David.
Yes. Item 8D, resolution to approve an agreement for property and liability insurance services. This resolution is sponsored by Administrator/Controller Timothy Delahoney. The Board of Commissioners recognizes the need for certain property and liability insurance coverages to protect the assets of Ogemaw County. On August 19, 2024, Ogemaw County issued request for proposals number 14-24 for general liability, commercial cyber and privacy liability, auto and umbrella insurance coverage. Diebold Insurance Agency submitted the only responsive proposal October 1st, 2024 through October 1st, 2025. Approval of the resolution will authorize an agreement with Diebold Insurance Agency to provide quoted coverage at a cost not to exceed $313,392.
What was that price again, please?
$313,392.
I'll make a motion,
392?
Correct.
make a motion for the resolution to approve an agreement for property and liability insurance services.
We have a motion from Commissioner Wiltie,
I'll support.
support from Commissioner Scott. Discussion?
Yes, how much was that insurance last year? You knew I was gonna ask that question.
$290,000 was last year. Two things that I just want to point out for the board, the actual quote came in $11,153 higher, but it included the cyber insurance coverage that we've already approved for this year. So that number's backed out. We won't pay for that twice. They did note that in their proposal. And just a couple of points on the increase on the balance of this. Yes, we've had experience over the last year and a half that impacts that, but this quote is higher because we've also added a building and 2 vehicles that we didn't have 3 years ago. And 2 vehicles that are in addition in the fleet that we didn't have, plus we did upgrade a number of other vehicles, so that impacted the auto liability.
What vehicles are those?
There's one transit vehicle that we added that was brand new and one vehicle in the sheriff's office among that fleet. And since we quoted 3 years ago, we've actually upgraded that fleet quite a bit. So, the higher value vehicle, the higher the insurance rate that goes with it. But by adding particularly the building out at transit, that did definitely impact the rate, which certainly makes sense.
Any-
And how much was did we pay for this last year? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Give me just a second, I can tell you.
Any other questions, guys?
I just have a comment.
Go ahead.
So along with this, and we did discuss this Tuesday at the special meeting, but again, we need to remember because of the financial position of the county, because we have no leverage. We have no one out there that wants to bid any of these coverages for us. So along with these very hard decisions that we are making to get this position where it needs to be in a consistent direction, the future will hold the availability for more estimates, which there should be able to be more competitive and we'll have more cost savings on these.
So last year, our total was budgeted at $287,050.
And what did you say they were gonna subtract from the 313,000, how much?
That is the total. I've already subtracted the 11,000. It's actually in the resolution.
So it really is gonna be 313,000.
Yes,
That's already been subtracted, okay.
right. It's 313. Now that also includes what I just quoted you as the general fund. There is obviously some allocation that goes to the transit as well. So it's at 293 sticks in my mind for some reason.
Okay.
That's in that ballpark.
Okay,
Any other discussion?
Comment.
Go ahead.
This is the second time in a row that we've put out bids for insurance, looking to save money. And both times have been turned down by companies that did not want to bid us because of our exposures. Both accidents and lawsuits and our financial status that they look at. Back 8 years ago, when Ms. Simmons was on with me before, we got a chance to bid it out and we did get some competitive bids, but since then, no. And I think that's something that needs to be turned around. That's all I got to say.
Any further discussion, comments? Roll call vote.
Charles Wiltie,
Yes.
Brenda Simmons.
Yep.
Craig Scott,
Yes.
Jenny David,
Yes.
Roger Mayhew.
Yes.
Item 8E, resolution to approve an agreement to house Ogemaw County prisoners in Gladwin County Jail. This resolution is sponsored by the Law Enforcement Committee. Section 16 of the revised status of 1846 requires that each of Michigan's 89 organized counties, at its own cost and expense, provides a suitable and sufficient jail and to keep the same in good repair. In lieu of providing a jail, counties are allowed to contract with other counties for the use of their jails. Approval of the resolution will authorize an agreement with Gladwin County to host Ogemaw County prisoners at a cost of $30 per prisoner per day.
Make the motion to approve the resolution.
Support.
Motion from Commissioner Scott, support from Commissioner Wiltie. Discussion? I have a question. It says this is sponsored by the Law Enforcement Committee. On the Law Enforcement Committee, which I don't know who's all on it, but has any of them been to the Gladwin County Jail? You're gonna go there
There's only two of us on the committee.
for commissioners. I'm
No,
asking.
no, there's only two of us on the committee. We're the standing committee,
So,
law enforcement, that's it.
did you go?
Oh, okay, hold on. So I'm asking, did the law enforcement, did you guys go to the Gladwin County Jail?
Recently, I have not. I have been there in the past years, but not recently. No, I did not go.
Tim, did you make a trip to the jail?
I was over there about 2 years ago. I'd say it was 2 years ago when I met former county administrator.
Sheriff or undersheriff, have you guys visited the Gladwin County Jail?
I've been there about 8 years ago in the lockup. Booking area. It's a 72 facility, I believe, what I was told.
Undersheriff, have you been there?
Not recently as part of this process.
Commissioner Simmons?
I was there yesterday, thank you. I watched the film and there were some questions asked that could not be answered at the commissioners meeting, and so I didn't know the answers either. Watching the little movie, and I'm sorry I couldn't be here, but I was feeling very poorly. So I went over there and I visited and I talked to Sheriff Shea. And I had how they operate there. And they have these little iPads where the inmate can talk to his lawyer whenever he wants, or if he wants to call his family, but they have a certain code you have to punch into this. So you can call either your lawyer, you can't just call anybody. So they have a code that you put in there so you can call certain people. And they also have a private room there, big screen TV up here like this, and chair, very private, close the person in there. And the judge can be one place, your lawyer can be someplace else, the inmate could be in the jail. And you can all talk to each other at the same time. So we had discussed about risk in transporting prisoners back and forth, and he said, this would be a way to curtail jockeying inmates back and forth a lot. So they have the facility there, it's a private room. And if the lawyer wants to talk to his inmate, his client, the judge can mute herself out where she can't hear anything what they're saying between themselves. And you can tell the judge is muted out because you can see it up on the screen that she is muted out. So so they have a pretty smooth thing, very, very clean, and they did not know I was coming. I went totally unannounced. I didn't even know I was be able to talk to anybody. I was able to talk to the sheriff. And he talked about his road patrol, and he talked about liens, and he talked about, and I didn't bring liens up, he brought it up, and their 911 does the liens for them too, like they do here. So, and as far as inmates coming over here to go to court, or they do come here, the Gladwin jail will send a lunch with them. So we won't have to worry about feeding them for lunch if they're transported from Gladwin to here, because they already have the food with them. Just a minute, I don't want to make sure I don't forget anything. I talked to him for a long time. They have a doctor and 2 registered nurses. And the sheriff said if he had the docket ahead of time, he could have the inmates ready to go, when it's their turn to go to court, to go sit in that private room and do their case without having to be transported back and forth. So yeah, so if we pick them up in the morning, they'll send a bag lunch with them, so we won't have to worry about feeding them for that. And I do know the diverted funds, we will not be getting that money. Commissary funds, we won't get that money either. The states over there in the commissary. And then you have to have 2 people there at all times at the holding cell. Not just one person. Every cell has a telephone in it. And these telephones don't have cords on, you gotta push this button, so and it doesn't even have a handle you can hold up to, you have to speak and listen through this speaker thing that you push on the wall. Just a minute. On the corrections, they have 2 corporals and 2 sergeants. And on the road patrol, they have 1 lieutenant, 9 deputies, and 4 sergeants. I covered it all. If you have any questions of me, I may have missed something.
Okay.
So they went and said, as far as going on here, as far as not jockeying people back and forth, it's like, kind of has to be pre-planned with the judge to send the docket over so they can have the inmates ready.
Commissioner Scott.
I don't have a question for Commissioner Simmons. A week ago Tuesday, we had a meeting here, right in this room, with our staff, our staff, and with the undersheriff and jail administrator from Gladwin. They answered all those questions for us and explained most everything you said. So I didn't have to go there to hear it or see it. But they explained all that, the sack lunch and having the docket ready and our guys were able, it was great. I mean, Tim and I were here. Charlie's out of town. Of course, they know between the 2 here and Mr. Howard, they know the routine of it. They were able to talk, they were talking shop back and forth. Believe it or not, I tried to keep my mouth shut and let them talk. And you can laugh about that. It's okay. And
We're all laughing.
it went very smooth. And I think they reiterated to you that they would do anything they can to help us out.
Yes, they did.
Yep.
Commissioner Wiltie.
Tim, were you able to talk to the commissioners regarding this jail transition committee, you could say, through the law enforcement board?
Not everybody, but I was planning to cover that under my report, but.
I'd like it now before.
Okay, well, in talking with the law enforcement committee here over the last couple of days, they've agreed to meet twice a month, at least through the end of the year during the transition. And item number 1 on their agenda will be any challenges that anybody's facing, any of our stakeholders face with the transition, and brainstorm, if nothing else, ways to address those challenges. But this would be a standing item on that committee agenda and be the first item to make sure it gets covered. It also will mean that we'll start those meetings at 4 o'clock rather than 4:30, so we're not rushed to get back over here. But the idea here is to contact everybody who's a stakeholder, and it doesn't matter at what level of a stakeholder they are, but inviting everybody in particular, of course, we'll invite our sheriff, undersheriff, jail administrator, anybody associated on our end, but also the courts will be invited, judges, court administrators, anyone involved, and officials over in Gladwin County who are on the receiving end of this, so that we can get a full comprehensive evaluation of how things are operating, and if there are things that we can do to make it run smoother. Our intentions are to bring those here, and we'll propose them and hopefully make this run as smoothly as we can.
Any other comments? Commissioner Mayhew? Commissioner Simmons?
No, I went over there unannounced. It's very clean. They were very professional. They answered every question I had. And, yeah, I thought, and the first thing I said to the secretary, I said, because I was over the Commissioner Simmons, see the sheriff, the undersheriff. And I said, I mean, tell him it has nothing to do with the contract. I just wanted to see the jail and the process and how they did it, what was available to the inmates. That's all I wanted to know.
I have a couple comments if everybody else is done. First of all, I want to say thank you for making that trip over there. I think that was extremely important. You called me last night. I had no idea you were making that trip over there and let me know. I think that was the right thing to do. We are, sending Ogemaw County residents to a facility that nobody had visited, announced or unannounced in the past period of time. At the end of the day, they are Ogemaw County residents, and I was glad to hear the things that Commissioner Simmons did see and did find out. I'm glad that there's a committee going to be moving forward, but I do feel like it's very important that somebody did lay eyes on the facility where we are sending Ogemaw County inmates. I don't like this decision. I don't think 5 people should be sitting here making this decision. At this point in time, I don't know what other decision to make. This is a 1-year contract with Gladwin County, correct?
Yes.
I think there's a lot of things that probably be worked out in the next year. I, like everybody else, wish we were not here. Any other comments? Roll call vote.
Brenda Simmons,
Yes.
Craig Scott,
Yes.
Jenny David,
No.
Roger Mayhew,
No.
Charles Wiltie.
Yes.
Item 8,
What did you just vote on?
pardon me?
What did
You just voted on the prisoners to Gladwin County Jail.
Okay.
Item 8F, resolution to approve annual compensation for non-judicial countywide elected officials and public officers. This resolution is sponsored by the Committee of the Whole. The County Boards of Commissioners Act assigns to the board authority to prescribe and fix the salaries and compensation of employees of the county if not fixed by law. The proposed fiscal year 2025 budget provides for no increase in salary for non-judicial countywide elected officials, which is consistent with budgeted amounts for non-union employees. The resolution authorizes other employment benefits comparable to those provided to non-union county employees.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
We have a motion from Commissioner Scott,
Support.
support from Commissioner Wiltie. Discussion?
Yeah, what does that resolution mean?
Tim?
This resolution sets the salaries for the elected, countywide elected officials and the public officers that are listed in the resolution. It sets it for the fiscal year.
Which there's no increases because of our financial
No.
status.
That's what I was looking at. Because I didn't see any increases either. I just double checked it.
Any further
I can't
discussion?
read that thing more.
Just
Go
kind of,
ahead.
again, in the financial position of Ogemaw County, it's sad that this has to be the case. This is why we have to make these hard decisions. We've got to get this financial position in order. We need to get a fund balance. We need to get some leverage. Therefore, moving forward, our hardworking employees, our stakeholders, if they deserve a raise, they will be able to get a raise.
Any other comments?
Yes, I do have a comment about that.
Go ahead.
This county is very fortunate to have the employees that we have. All the elected officials, our equalization office, all the people that work in this county, we are very fortunate to have. And I understand that there is like a wage freeze, there isn't any raises coming. And I feel terrible about that. I mean, some of the people that work in like equalization, they're very well educated. Some of them are surveyors, one of them is a surveyor, one is be a full-fledged assessor. And You know, they could just drop and walk. And we are fortunate they don't. And sometimes there are people that, and I think in lots of cases in this county, people that like who they work with and like their job. Feel very comfortable in it and they do a great job. So I just want them to know that I feel we're lucky to have them. And we're so lucky that they stay with us through the hard times. And hopefully we will come to get some good times soon. So, and we appreciate everything you do, and I wish there's something we could do about raises this year. That's all I have to say.
Commissioner Scott, did you have something?
We haven't got to the general appropriations bill, fiscal year 25 budget question yet, but that's going to be the song page. We pass that, it has a fund balance at the end. If everybody sings the music the same together, we'll get to that fund balance, and then we'll finally be at a point where we can make these decisions. If we borrow from Peter to pay Paul again, you won't get there. We gotta get back up on top. We gotta have a fund balance. You cannot operate this. I mean, if we gotta pay Peter to pay Paul, we're gonna be right back to the same square one we are right now, next year. And if I gotta sit there and say zero again, we'll watch everybody leave. I know you don't want 5 people doing it, but this is government, and this is the way it is set up in this country, and this is what it is. We're elected to make these decisions. We all volunteered to be here. Nobody forced me to run. That's all I got.
I'm gonna ditto off what Commissioner Simmons said. I think they all definitely deserve raises. I think everybody deserves raises. Unfortunately, we're not able to give them. Also off what Commissioner Scott said, hopefully we can reevaluate that next year and things will change, but they are all greatly appreciated. Commissioner Mayo, did you have something?
No.
Commissioner Simmons, did you have something else?
Yeah, I did. No, you it slipped my mind. I can't remember what I was gonna say, but it was about the budget.
Roll call vote.
Craig Scott,
Yes.
Jenny David,
Yes.
Oh, I know.
Roger Mayhew,
Yes.
Charles Wiltie,
Yes.
Brenda Simmons.
Yes.
Item 8G, resolution to authorize commissioners' compensation rates for calendar years 2025 through 2028. This resolution is sponsored by the Committee of the Whole. The Board of Commissioners is authorized to establish a compensation for its members, but the board cannot make changes in compensation which affect the board during the current term. The proposed resolution provides for no increase in salary for the board members for fiscal year 2025 and ties any increase to the rate approved for countywide elected officials and public officers from fiscal year 2026 through fiscal year 2028.
I make the resolution.
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
No, good.
I make the motion to approve the resolution.
Motion from Commissioner Scott, support from Commissioner Mayhew. Tim, there was somebody in public comment. Can you clarify this?
I can, and we're gonna have to do a correction to this resolution. And speaking with the county attorney, what the chair read is absolutely correct. This board can set the wages for the next board. The next board cannot change those wages. They can only change the wages for the board that follows, and it's a 4-year term, so any changes the next board makes would have effect in 2029. The paragraph right under where we mentioned in the resolution, the board chairperson and the commissioner rates states that in 26, 27, and 28, any increases will be equal to the increases allocated to other countywide elected officials. And speaking with our county attorney, that's not going to work. It's not going to work because you as a board are responsible for setting the wages for those other countywide elected officials and therefore would be changing your own wage. So if you want the flexible number in there, it would have to be tied to something you have no control over, something like the inflation rate. That's a roll of the dice too, as we know from the last few years, that can go way up, it can go way down. And so it does not offer necessarily that same level of consistency. Now, we're not talking huge amounts of dollars here, so it's not going to break the bank necessarily, but we've got to change that language if we want to do that. Another option would be to just leave it as is for 4 years if you wanted to do that. You could select specific amounts for each of the years 26 through 28 if you wanted to do that. But the language that's there, and it should be highlighted on your iPads, is not going to work, so we'll have to change that.
Ideas, Commissioner Wiltie?
Where is that on here?
Well, definitely 100% no raise for this next calendar year. Is there a way that we can hold off on this for now?
We can't
No.
vote on our own wages. The current board members.
I would modify my motion if possible.
Gonna have to,
Yeah,
we
yes,
can't, we,
yeah, we're gonna have to.
Well, I'll just make the motion, we just we'll just run the whole next 4 years at the same rate. No increase.
Support.
motion from Commissioner Scott, support from Commissioner Mayhew. Discussion, Commissioner Simmons.
You won't even be here.
I have no skin in the game.
Yeah.
Waiting for something.
So stick up for us or not.
You're supposed to give her a minute to catch on to that.
That kind of came fast and furious. And I understand where Commissioner Scott's coming from. And in this instance right now, I do agree with this. But if things turn around for all of us, you know, I can understand cost of living. And until we get a fund balance where we can give everybody raises, we don't take any raises. The commissioners don't take any raises. We've been there, done that before. So we know how to do that. But if you want to go for 4 years without a raise, I don't care.
Commissioner Wiltie.
I love our county. I make that commitment, no raise for 4 years.
Before I came on board 8 years ago, the commissioners had dropped mileage, townships, per diems. They dropped that. When I came on board, the employees and other public told me that commissioners were getting health care and they were working part-time. They don't understand how full-time a job it really is, but anyway, I fought to cut the health care, and we did. We cut the health care out. We did increase the salaries, but then we cut the per diems out for the commissioner meetings. We went further and cut out all the per diems for all the other committee meetings. We've cut back and cut back and cut back as a show that we're trying to suffer as others. Now, I don't expect anybody anymore to do anything for free anymore. I mean, when I first joined the volunteer fire department, it was strictly volunteer and we got nothing. But nowadays you can't even get those. I'm fine with staying at the same, you know, but, I guess as you can vote no and say that you're not to blame for one motion, I'll say I'll stay at the one paid, and you can blame me for staying at the one pay for 4 years.
Were you talking to me?
No,
I'll let
I'm
everybody.
talking about you.
I don't understand, but,
It's okay.
all right, were you done? Do you have anything else to add?
No,
I don't disagree with what was just said. What I am gonna do moving forward, which I said, township meetings are not mandatory. And I think with the access that we have, that individuals have now, it is a lot of time for all of us. It is a lot of energy for all of us. Obviously, we're not sitting here for any type of compensation. I go to 12 meetings a month. in the evening. I reported all of that. We all do. We all are. But I'm gonna do a little less time at townships, because it is a lot. This job is a lot. Our meetings have increased. When I first started, I could go back from when I first started 6 years ago as well. There were a lot less. We now do 4 commissioner meetings a month, which I think is great.
I do too.
Agreed, but it is continued to add and add and add. I don't have a problem with that neither, but there's definitely a lot to this, so.
Just
Any
one
further
more
discussion?
Small comment
Go ahead.
is for everybody that's listening. We cannot give ourselves raises during the term. We can only give a raise to the next term. This is the same with townships. When people say, oh, they voted themselves in a raise, no, you can't. So please, if you're Facebook nut, put it on there because everybody else thinks that's what we're doing. Sorry, but that sounded sarcastic.
No, it wasn't sarcastic, because I get tired of hearing.
You
this
get it,
thing.
you get tired of hearing the same thing, yeah.
But we're very wealthy.
I don't think any
That's
of,
why I have to
any of
mow my
that
own
is-
lawn now.
Call for the vote.
I don't think, I wasn't done. I don't think any of that is true, but, yes, people. Commissioner Scott, did you have something else you wanted to add?
No, I'm just surprised.
Do I have the floor now?
Go ahead, you got it all.
Thank you. The other thing that people are not correct on is township meetings, and those are not mandatory. I think all of us have open communication. I think we're all readily available. People can contact us with questions, comments. And there's always, like I report at my meetings, there's always two areas for public comment at our meetings, so everybody has time and opportunity to speak and to ask questions. So, did you have something else? Go ahead.
When you talk about all these meetings, maybe, like we do here and have everybody up on the screen, hello, everybody. Maybe they can do township meetings like that too, where you just zoom into the township meeting and be there, and if they have any questions, you just answer the question. So you don't have to drive from here to there to every place, do that, so just be easier. And I like it when there's 2 commissioners, when a township's split, like we have. And if you want to, you can take turns going to the meetings, because you don't need 2 commissioners at one township hall meeting, so. But Mr. Mayhew's been gracious enough to take just about all of them.
Roll call vote.
Jenny David,
Yes.
Roger Mayhew,
Yes.
Charles Wiltie.
Yes,
Brenda Simmons.
Yes,
Craig Scott.
Yes,
Point of order. You actually had a motion on the table to amend what the resolution said, and then you'll have to vote to adopt the amended resolution.
Oh, I thought we did it all. We combined it. So Commissioner Scott, you want to adopt the resolution?
make
now?
a motion to adopt the resolution.
I'll support.
Motion from Commissioner Scott, support from Commissioner Wiltie. Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Roger Mayhew,
Yes.
Charles Wiltie.
Yes,
Brenda Simmons.
yes,
Craig Scott,
Yes,
Jenny David.
Yes. Resolution to approve general appropriations for fiscal year 2025. This resolution is sponsored by the Committee of the Whole. The Uniform Budgeting and Accounting Act requires that each local unit of government annually adopt a balanced budget for all required funds. This proposed fiscal year 2025 budget funds those activities of the county mandated by law at a serviceable level. Once adopted, no expenditure may be incurred in excess of the individual adopted budgets without first amending the budget pursuant to the budgetary procedures established by the Board of Commissioners. A position allocation list included with the budget limits the number of permanent employees who can be employed in all departments, offices, and the courts. Certain positions contained in the position allocation list are only approved contingent upon the county receiving the budget revenues. If such anticipated outside funding is not received, those positions will be removed from the approved position allocation list. In addition, positions vacated during the fiscal year shall not be filled prior to review and approval of the Board of Commissioners. Michigan statute also requires a general appropriations resolution to set forth the total number of mills of ad valorem property taxes to be levied and the purposes for which that millage is to be levied. Approval of the resolution will adopt budgets for all county agencies for the fiscal year beginning on October 1, 2024.
I'll make a motion A resolution to approve the general appropriations for fiscal year 2025.
We have a motion from Commissioner Wiltie. Any support?
I'll support.
Support from Commissioner Scott, discussion.
Yeah, I have some
Commissioner
discussion.
Skimmons, do you have discussion? Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions to ask. I was looking at these, and this is through today, this budget, how much was spent last year. And this budget right here. And how much we're gonna spend next year. And it was very difficult to go through and check, and I put, okay, yep, okay. But I had some questions, and I also have some questions on some other items. It's like, when I look at this. The budget for 2025. I look at the activity from 23-24, but it's only through July 16th. You know, and I came and got one through September 30th. So those are apples. And the end of this thing is apples. But what is on here is a pear, I think, because it's not apples to apples. And some of the questions I had was, you know, like the remonumentation, however they pronounce that thing. I know that money that comes in for that is, depending on how much land is sold and bought and stuff like that. And there's a fee for every transaction, and it's $2.96 per fee. And for the budget for 24-25, it's 40,402. And for 23-24, which is the one we're in right now, it's almost $10,000 more. So why did we budget for less this year than we budgeted for last year?
So that budget administrator isn't here tonight to explain the details of it, but this is based on a formula that Lansing provides, in our case, our equalization director who administers that. And they're the ones who make the determination of what funds are going to come to the county. So you're absolutely correct. When you go in the Register of Deeds office, you record a deed, there's a fee that goes into this. All of that money goes to Lansing. Lansing then reallocates it to the county, so it's not necessarily a one-to-one match coming back. And I do know they have discussions quite frequently about the different levels of completeness each of these remonumentation projects has across the state, county by county. And they were talking at one time, and I don't tune into this, you know, on a regular basis, but talking at one time of sending more funds to counties that have more to do. So you have some counties that are larger than Ogemaw. If you take Chippewa County, for instance, which is the size of about 3 counties in our part of the state, there are way more section corners to be recorded, so they may receive more funding to get caught up to where the other counties are. But that's something that's, you know, constantly fluid. The equalization director is pretty much on top of that. The numbers that he submitted, I'm confident, are very close to what we're going to receive for the next year. So that's why you see the difference.
I have a couple more questions.
Go ahead.
Resource officers, I looked at the 23-24 budget, and this is for Ogemaw Heights. Resource officer in 23-24 on the budget was $90,828. We were allocated $75,000. And the budget for 24-25 is only $58,864. Why is it so low in 24-25 below that $75,000 that we're going to be allocated?
Yeah. That's an assignment of the sheriff. There's a new deputy that's been assigned to that position. A couple of things. We had a veteran deputy serving in that position last year who is on our defined benefit plan, which is costlier than the defined contribution. And the second, and I think more impactful, was the health insurance. So the former officer had the family plan, but the one who's now been assigned is a single person. So that alone is about a $15,000 swing by itself. So those two elements change the dynamic in that budget. So you've still got a very qualified deputy serving in that position. But for the health insurance and the retirement, it's significantly less.
So are you telling me for this FY that out of our own money, we had to pony up $15,828 and the school only paid the 75,000.
The school paid the 75,000 and was invoiced for some overtime hours, so I don't know what the exact total of that is. But when we signed those contracts, we also made it clear that the $75,000 number that the board agreed to was sort of the split between if you might have a deputy with very few years and so a lower compensation rate versus one who's been a veteran, and at the top rate, we tried to pick a number that was in between, so it was fair to all parties. This is definitely something we discussed, so you'll have seen between these two fiscal years, the two extremes. You'll have seen the one for the officer who has longevity with the county and family health insurance and the defined benefit retirement versus what we'll go to in this next fiscal year. An officer who doesn't have as many years is on a defined contribution plan and has a health insurance plan that is less costly than a family plan.
And my only comment was on that is it was 90,828. In the financial predicament that we're in right now, the school should have ponied up for that, and so it didn't come out of our funds. That's just how I feel. We don't have any money, and I don't wanna spend on a resource officer out of our own funds for doing a job someplace else or someone else that's paying us. That we pay the extra $15,828 because they want people to stay at games and whatever else they want them to do. Personal opinion. One other comment I have, two other comments I have, and I just picked some of these at random, and I don't know how this is throughout the budget. The utilities annex, the budget for 24-25 is $20,000. We actually used $13,000 in this FY. Why did we budget for an extra $7,000 for the annex?
That's utilities.
Yep.
For one thing, we had a warmer winter this last year than we've had in some other years. If we get a cold winter, you're probably gonna eat through that additional. So it's our best estimate on what the weather's gonna be like, how much we have to heat the building. We also went through a renovation last year to improve the RF value of the insulation, which I think has made an improvement. So hopefully that's part of it as well. But that's just our best estimate on what those utility costs are gonna be.
Okay, and I also noticed there's some wages in some departments that were skewed, and I'm not gonna go over there one by one. And I didn't understand that either. So those are my questions. I just had a difficult time taking this that I had a print off that went through September and this that only went through July. So it's like not apples to apples. And it took a lot of time to do that. And I got so tired of looking at these numbers, I didn't get all the way through it. I said, that's it, done enough. So I don't know what other issues there are in there that you could probably explain, but and I'm not a finance person either. Those were just a couple of things I found. I got some other notes in here too. I could list off some more things, but yeah, that's just my concern is, we see we have a balanced budget. Do we really?
Yeah.
Well, go ahead. Are you done?
But I could take figures and balance a budget too. And pull some from here and pull some from other places, but yeah, it's balanced. Is it really? I'm done.
Commissioner Scott.
Well, probably some of your other questions about some of these other things. Now, you understand, as he explained, a higher paid and benefited person came out of,
that.
yeah, but they didn't leave us. So now they went to a different area, okay, and in a different budget line. Well, he went to road patrol. That person went to road patrol. Now road patrol is affected by that person going there because he has family. Whereas the one guy
I
didn't
understand
have
that, but
Commissioner Simmons.
all I'm saying is they switch positions. So from one year to the other, the numbers change too. Because there's two different lines of business. So that, you're saying there's other questions you may have because the difference in numbers, that could be one of them right there. Because the higher paid guy went from this position where the lower paid guy went in and the lower benefits. But when he moves over to here, it's gonna change all the numbers in that business too.
I understand that.
Hold on,
Oh,
Commissioner-
okay, well, you said you're not a money person.
Oh, I
said
like
that-
money.
Commissioner Simmons.
No, you said you weren't a money person, so I'm just saying this. I don't know. Okay, I'll assume that you know it all then. That's what it is.
Okay.
But, no, this is a balanced budget. What's different this year than other years? No tax revolving fund. No ARPA fund. This is the raw thing. And this is the thing I said before. This is the song page for the year. And if everybody sings the song together, as a chorus, we can make this work. So if every department follows the budget, and that's what it is for, it's to follow the budget. It's not just a document that we gotta have in by October 1 and that's it, and we never look at it again. No, we look at it constantly. You're on the budget committee. This is the thing you look at all the time. This is what guides us through the year. Each month, each day, everything. What we spend our money on, what we don't spend our money on. I know the time I've been here, people didn't look at it. I mean, we had department heads that came up here and said, you give me my budget and that's it, and you can't touch it. We had those people come right up here and you can't touch it. You cannot touch it. And I asked then the powers to be, please get me call Mac, get me what is the job of a commissioner? Well, it's the budget. And yes, the budget is fluid. It can change. It can be added to, it can be subtracted from. If you don't spend the money because somebody isn't being paid that month because it's a vacancy, that's a savings. And we gotta stay on top of that and reserve that savings into the fund balance. Take advantage of that vacancy. Sometimes a vacancy is a help. That's all.
Commissioner Wiltie?
I've been very consistent with my message since the first meeting we've had together as commissioners. The direction we were heading wasn't right. Using ARPA funds, using tax revolving funds to balance a budget. We ran at a level of county government for years and years we simply couldn't afford. We're broke. We have no leverage. These hard decisions have to be made. We've got to get a fund balance. We've got to all work together. We've got to work together harder than ever to make this work.
Commissioner Mayhew? I think this budget paints a clear picture. No, I don't. But again, I'm gonna ditto somewhat of what Commissioner Scott said is that this is a work in progress. This will change week to week. It's fluent. It's supposed to change. I think we have a clearer picture than what we used to have. There's better reports. We're keeping better track of comp time, overtime. We're seeing charts. I think us as commissioners are able to visualize things, better. There's committees now. There's a budget committee. I think it also helps with department heads having to come and for jobs and positions and postings. So that way we're aware more of what's going on. We also have all them reports that come through for any position changes, anything. I mean, I think the communication has significantly improved with technology since I first started. I know that. Again, do I agree with all of these numbers? I don't. I'm not a finance person. I think there's going to be lots of changes. I think this is going to be a work in progress. But as of right now, I think that's where we're at. I think it's great that there's a fund balance this year. I would like to see moving forward a 3-year plan. More towards the future, since hopefully we are at a better place than where we thought we would be last year. I would like that to be the next step, is actually forming a plan moving forward. And hopefully we can do that over the next 6 months to a year. So I think there'll be more information to come on this budget, and I think there's gonna be changes, and that's what a budget is, so
Well, it'll be
go ahead.
there's always a budget amendments every quarter, it seems like, for every quarter, right?
Quarterly, yes.
So, and sometimes you move it from one line to another line within the same, within the same department. And I understand all that. I just hope what I'm looking at here is possible fund balance for us at the end of this next FY becomes reality. If it is reality, that means we're going in the right direction, and I'm just babbling on. And hope it continues. So I'm voting on a hope and a prayer.
I'm voting on seeing a fund balance. I don't know what each department does. I don't think it's our job to know. I'm voting on these numbers that I see in front of me, and that's it. Roll call vote.
Charles Wiltie,
Yes.
Brenda Simmons,
Yes,
Craig Scott,
Yes,
Jenny David,
Yes.
Roger Mayhew.
Oh,
Item 9A, Diane Peltz, LaSalle Valley Committee Mental Health Authority CEO related to LaSalle Valley Community Mental Health annual update.
Good evening. Thank you for having me today. I will be as succinct as possible. I am here today to give you a quick annual report. You do have a blue folder in front of you that consists of several documents. On the left-hand side is our request for annual funding support we ask for every year. Just as of note, the support from the county has not changed since 1998, since the county allowed us to become an authority. That is one of the benefits to the county, that figure was frozen and has not changed since that time. So that has remained consistent. Also in there is a proposed prospective budget. As you were just talking, things change. We still are waiting for rate adjustments for the actuaries to come in and see where Medicaid is at and what's going on there. So we too will be looking at some mid-year rate adjustments. You have our hard copy of our annual report, and then on the right-hand side, you have my narrative. You have a letter in there co-authored by MAC, Michigan Association of Counties, Michigan Sheriff's Association, and the Community Mental Health Association of Michigan. It also aligns with the PowerPoint that's behind there that references the 1115 waiver, which is the Medicaid exclusion for people who are incarcerated. So I will just touch upon that a little bit. I know that you are having conversations about your jail, but unfortunately, at this point, if this goes through, we're not looking at any kind of implementation until way past 2027, and for counties, probably 29 or 30, unfortunately. Before I get started real quick, I do want to thank the board for having Commissioner Simmons sit on our board, representing your county and being a voice on our board. We really appreciate her being on our board. So just a few things I will touch upon, and then when you have time to read the report, if you have any questions, please, email me or give me a call. First thing I want to talk about is last year I started out talking about seeds of change and collaboration. I talked about a pilot program that we were going to try, where we were going to put one of our emergency services worker in your E91 dispatch to help with resource management, to help better serve the community with people in crisis, people with mental health issues. And that actually came to fruition in January of this year. So the person that we had put in there, our staff, and it actually took us about 6 months to find her, but she is the ideal person. She has been in there since January. There is some data in your packet as to actually how well that is going. It has been very well received. She has assisted with being able to take some of these crisis calls. Sometimes people just need to talk. Not everybody needs to go inpatient hospitalization. Another thing that's beneficial about this is that she actually has real-time access to our electronic health record. So if somebody does call and they happen to be in services, she can check and see, you know, are they in our services? Do they have a case manager? Do they have a therapist? Are they seeing our psychiatrist? Are they on medication? And she can actually take control of that call and look at a disposition differently, as if we, you know, if we hadn't been in there. Most of the time, there's not a need to call law enforcement or, you know, draw on emergency medical services, have people in the emergency department. So we're really trying to be better collaborators in our county. And again, it is going very well. So much so in May, we expanded out to Iosco County. So we have this going in both counties. The pilot now has been moved to an actual program within our Access and Emergency Services Department. So we will be moving forward on that and hoping for expansion. In your remind narrative, there's actually some commentary from Jesse Lowell, who's the director here. There's a couple, Lieutenant Adams from the West Branch Police Department, Deputy Scholes from the Ogemaw County Sheriff's Department. And I'm referencing page 5 on my report. And then also the director of 911 from Iosco County, Michael Eller. And, you know, I think one of his comments was, as simple as it is, it's very insightful. We'll never know what this program prevented, but we know it's preventing something. And it has been, again, received very well. The next thing I want to talk about real quick is that our agency has rebranded. You know, talking about mental illness, talking about substance use disorders. We've come a long way when it comes to stigma, but there's a long way to go. So there have been numerous CMHs that have rebranded over the years to take mental health out of your organization's name, so that we can be more, maybe more accepted, more accepting, more welcoming. That actually goes live on Monday. It goes public. So I can't tell you what that is right now. I don't want to spoil it. Well, you know, and the thing is, there's a story behind the name. There's a story behind what we are going to be calling ourselves. And that's what's important, that message gets out and not just a new name. So, you know, our tagline actually is empowering wellness and advancing potential. So, and that's what we're going to do as a whole, because we're not all just about mental illness, substance use disorders. I mean, we're about integrated health. We're about community. We're about treating the whole person. We're also about helping our communities through community trainings, through speaking, you know, whatever it is that we need to do to help. We want to make sure that you know that we are here, you know, to be collaborative in whatever form that takes. So that is just right around the corner. Talking about staffing, you know, we still have staffing shortages in our outpatient therapy department. We're looking at a 76% vacancy rate. Yes, we cannot find people to come in person and work. Everybody wants telehealth, or wants remote work. That doesn't work for everybody. How are we filling this void? Well, we are contracting with telehealth companies to have the professionals and the providers come in and help, but our preference is to have people, you know, within the offices. We are actually doing very well in Ogemaw County, but in Iosco County, I have one therapist in person that works between Tawas and Oscoda. And we're just, you know, we're same thing. We're just stuck. I don't know where the people are, unfortunately. Last thing I want to talk about real quick is the letter in the PowerPoint that you have that talks about this proposed 1115 Medicaid waiver for the Medicaid exclusion for prisoners that are, people who are incarcerated. This is even pre-adjudication. So unfortunately, I mean, our system of justice is you're innocent until you're proven guilty. But as soon as somebody gets arrested and put in jail, they lose their Medicaid. When they lose their Medicaid, that means they lose their health care. They lose their case manager, they lose their therapist, they lose their psychiatrist, they lose their medications. Why is this important to you? Well, because the counties have to pick that up. That's part of the county responsibility when you have the jail. And I'm sure you know all of that just because of what you're going through right now. So the state is applying for this waiver to hopefully have Medicaid kick in 90 days before a person is released, so that they can get these benefits back. It's a good thing. This is still in place federally, but the state can ask for a waiver so that they don't have to follow those federal requirements. The state has to submit this. They were talking about submitting it in September. Sometimes it takes 6 months to a year to even get approved on it. I mean, it's a great thing. And then I just feel in the spirit of transparency, I have to tell you how this is going to work. If it is going to work, if once they get accepted, it still takes a couple years after that. The PowerPoint that you have does have a timeline in there. For instance, California was approved in January of 2023. They didn't even start implementation until just a few months ago. So almost a year and a half later. There's 13 other states that have been approved already. 11 are pending. The state, in their wisdom, has decided if this does go through, instead of utilizing this waiver for all populations that would be affected, like state institutions, state correctional facilities, facilities that house children, and then county correctional facilities, they're only going to focus on the state ones and put the county ones off to the end. My hope for advocacy on this is that we need to advocate for everybody, especially the counties. The counties, again, I don't need to tell you, the counties need the money. The counties can't be on the very, very far end of this. So I can tell you from my perspective, my advocacy is going to be on, let's put all of the populations that this could affect together. Don't segment it out. Let's see where it goes. But the state is doing that because those are the things that the state pays for, right? So they're going to look at themselves first. But it's a good thing. I was on the committee for the federal Medicaid exclusion, which again is still in place. But if the state can get this through, I think it does provide hope and promise. It's just, again, where the counties are going to come within the timeline. So there's contact information in there. There's an email address for the state. My suggestion may be you might want to, send a letter or individually or collectively to just let them know why it's important that the counties need to be involved right from the beginning as well and not put off to the end. So that's just my very quick report. Like I said, I know you have a lot. I certainly can have a lot more to say, but I will not, so that you can get on with your meeting. But I'm open for any questions, comments, thoughts that you may have.
Commissioner Lindsay?
Looking at your graph and of course, just watching TV and seeing on a daily basis, mental illness, and it seems like it continues to get worse and worse and worse. Were you in those talks or with the shareholders when they had the meetings at the Standish prison that is now closed and the possibilities of making it regional mental,
I actually was, yes, I was there with Representative Hoadley. Yes.
Now that's obviously close to us.
Yes, yes. My thought on that was, I would have liked to seen it be a campus for both behavioral health, physical health, mental health, a residency program, maybe working with the university. The facility is still in really good shape. They just put a new roof on it. They still keep it. They keep the grounds up. Of course, there's a lot to retrofit because it is a maximum security prison. It's not ready to be an inpatient psychiatric unit or a step-down facility or anything like that. But my thought is, what's the price for not doing something? So you have to look at it both ways, but yes, absolutely. I was involved in that. I am in full support of it. Mid-Michigan, Northern Michigan really has very limited resources when it comes to care for somebody who does need to go inpatient. And the hope is always to try and keep people as close as they can to their natural supports. And when we have to place people, downstate or in Marquette, or sometimes even across the border, in another state, it definitely is not ideal. So there's a lot of work to do. You're right. There's a huge need, but I'm definitely on the bandwagon for that, for moving that forward. Yes. You're welcome.
Commissioner Scott?
No, I'm listening.
Commissioner Simmons?
Yeah, I think the state needs to pay to upgrade that building in Standish, so to make things happen, that's what I think.
Commissioner Mayhew?
I'm in the health department meeting and the guy told us that the trouble with Standish is it's too far north. The specialists don't want to come up.
Well, I think part of that is why if you partner with a university and have a residency program right there, you can have living quarters right there. The cafeteria was beautiful,
The guy said the place is immaculate.
Yes,
It's
yes,
well kept, but
yes. I agree.
they couldn't get the professional people far south. They don't want to come.
Yeah.
'Cause I was at the meeting and that's what they told us.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
You are most welcome. Thank you. Thank you.
Item 90, resolution to address negative cash balance. This resolution is sponsored by the Administrator/Controller Timothy Delahoney. When a negative cash balance is present, it is customary to avoid sharing on an annual audit by moving the overdrawn amount into a liability account and setting up the entry to automatically reverse to shift the withdrawn amount back into the cash account at the beginning of the next fiscal year. At the end of fiscal year 2023, county auditors prepared a general fund journal entry to borrow $520,488 from the American Rescue Plan Act Fund to offset a negative cash balance, and then directed that the entry be reversed at the start of the fiscal year 2024. Similar journal entries have been executed for many years to show balanced cash and cash equivalent at the end of the fiscal year. Approval of the resolution would authorize transfer of $550,000 of the ARPA funds to eliminate the negative cash balance in the general fund.
I'll make a motion for the resolution to address the negative cash balance.
We have a motion from Commissioner Wiltie.
Report.
Report from Commissioner Scott. Discussion?
I had some discussion.
Discussion, Commissioner Simmons?
When I became a commissioner in January 23, I brought up about, consumers and coming in, redoing lights and looking at windows and having windows redone. And that's a pretty big expense. But when the wind blows and the curtains go back and forth, and when it rains, the rain comes through the windows. If we don't take care of the county building, there's not gonna be any county building left after a few years. It's like even taking care of your own home. Once you let things go, then they just get bigger and bigger and bigger. So, and I haven't seen any of that ARPA money spent on that county building. It's been spent on other buildings. It's been spent on this building. It's been spent on the building across the street. And poor us, the county building, where all of our offices are that run this county. No money for them to redo their building so they can be cool in the summer and warm in the winter. The only place I know of you have to wear a coat in the summer and you have to wear shorts in the winter in that building over there. And that is the truth. So I just think something needs to be done with it. I think something needs to be done with the windows. I think something needs to be done with the lights. And I understand about the negative cash flow. But I also understand about the needs of that county building that hasn't had any attention over the years. And if it doesn't get some attention soon, it may be beyond the money we even have left to even help the building. So that's where I am.
Commissioner Mayhew?
I believe she's right. We may need a furnace by the light bills we get.
Commissioner Scott?
The negative cash is part of our finances. Our finances are the number one priority of a county commissioner. This is the focus we need to be on. The tax revolving fund has a couple of different purposes. One of them is capital expenses. That is what it is designed for. We can use monies out of that for capital expense, and we can weigh that over a period of time. Negative cash, we cannot do over a period of time. We have to bring our checkbook up to where it's supposed to be. That's our number one focus. That's our number one job. So, we've been over this and over this. You voted it down before. And the last time we talked about it, members of the commission said, if we had a budget, a balanced budget, then we could do this. We have passed a balanced budget. We're ready now to bring our cash where it's supposed to be.
Commissioner Wiltie?
I got a question for Karen. Karen, currently right now we have 1.3+ million in ARPA funds.
We have today $1,305,023.36.
So we would agree to pay this negative cash off. We still would be in upwards of $800-some thousand in ARPA funds, correct? And you're working very hard. Every day we're making money on that. So we will continue to still make money off of that. We have started the processes. I've met with the people, and I will continue now that budget's over. You know, we have a feeling that by possibly readjusting the chiller vents could also help in the county building. I do agree with Commissioner Simmons. The county building needs maintenance. You know, we started looking at a few other options for the front. We know that we have to do some work there for the accessibility, and we are doing that. I mean, basically, at the end of the day, we've made these very, very hard decisions that I feel very confident with consistent hard work from everyone in the county that we will have a significant fund balance next year. And then with that, we're just going to keep that motion rolling. This is a business. What we're doing today is a business. Our job is to run the finances. Commissioner Mayhew, is there a question for me?
No, go ahead. You got the floor.
This is a business. And we have negative $500,000 in our checking. We have an opportunity right now to make this right. Still have over $800,000 that, again, Karen's working very hard that we're making money on every day for improvements to the county. Plus, we are now no longer touching that tax revolving fund. That money is supposed to be used for these type of improvements. We have a business to run. This is our job. We have negative cash in the bank. I don't know of any businesses that have negative cash in the bank that would have an opportunity to take care of that, still have fluent funds to do what we're talking about, which is improvements to the buildings, and be able to move forward. I know we've continued to bring this up, but we've got to get this negative cash taken care of. We have that opportunity right now. And then be our absolute best move to get this taken care of now, continue to work hard. We know the direction we're going to head. I feel very positive about that direction. This negative cash flow is not right. We've got to get it taken care of.
Do I agree that this is best practice? Absolutely not. However, this obviously isn't illegal. This has been going on for a significant period of time. We've already utilized $2 million of our ARPA funds to help offset or balance our budget over the last 4 years. Do I agree we need to work our way out of this? Absolutely. Do I think there needs to be a 3 or a 4 year plan to do that versus a quick fix? So then everything continues down this poor path? Absolutely. I think we need to invest the money like all my townships has done in improvements in that county building, in the sheriff's office, whatever we have to do moving forward. Lighting, bathrooms, furnace. There's a lot of work to be done yet. That I would rather see this does continue to be brought up over and over and over again. Agreed, we need to work our way out of this, but I'd rather see this over a 3 year plan. That way we are able to sustain and maintain that versus a quick $500,000 and hopefully we're not right back here next year. So
Question.
I was done. Go ahead, Commissioner Wiltie.
Can we compromise? Can we take half of this right now, get half of this done? And with this hard work that we're gonna do next year and having a fund balance, get the rest paid off and continue the motion that this county needs to head.
Right now, there's a resolution on the floor for what's in front of us.
We can change
Again,
that.
and again, right now, there's a resolution on the floor that we've not voted on. It is nothing that I'm in favor of. I'm in favor of myself personally, I'm only speaking for myself. For a 3 or 4 year plan. This has been years of doing this. This is obviously not illegal. I agree, it's not best practice. Our treasurer is doing an amazing job. I would like to see a plan moving forward over the next 3 to 4 years, whatever it may take to work our way out of this. We've been seeing more and more of the bills, each month, seeing, electric bills has been unbelievable. We have a rough winter, they say, coming up. I would like to see some improvements made. So right now, there's a motion on the floor. Is there any other discussion about the motion?
Yes,
Commissioner?
you know, and I understand what Commissioner Wilsie's saying, and I do agree with that. But why wasn't it done when we first got the ARPA money? Why did we buy all these pickups? Why did we buy a 1-ton pickup for the sheriff's department to pick up evidence? He must be picking up elephants. You know, I don't understand. A lot of townships did exactly that. They did a lot of improvements on their facilities. They put up cameras, they put in new windows, they painted the place, they put in new flooring. They did a lot of things with their ARPA money. And what did we do? We bought vehicles with our ARPA money, and I don't know what else we did with it. And we worked on this building, and we worked on the building across the street. But it seems like that building in the middle, the county building, never gets touched. So my question is, you know, we've already put $2 million of that ARPA money in our general fund. Why didn't we do this positive cash flow when we first got the ARPA money, if it was so important, rather than buying all those vehicles? That's my only comment.
Roll call vote.
Craig Scott,
Yes.
Jenny David,
No.
Roger Mayhew,
No.
Charles Wiltie,
Yes.
Brenda Simmons.
No,
Item 9D, resolution to certify Ogemaw County delegate to the MERS 2024 Retirement Conference. This resolution is sponsored by Administrator/Controller Timothy Delahoney. In section 45-2 of the Municipal Employee Retirement System of Michigan MERS plan document requires that the governing body of each member municipality must appoint an offer delegate and an employee delegate to represent the governing body. There were no volunteers to represent employees at the conference. The proposed resolution would seat the Chief Deputy County Clerk Tracy Turner as the officer delegate to represent Ogemaw County at the MERS business meeting. Someone like to entertain a motion? I'll entertain a motion.
Oh, good. I'll support.
Support from Mr. Mayhew had said support. And does Tim, can you explain this? I don't recall.
Yeah, we do this each year. We attempt to get employer and employee representatives to that conference. This year, that conference will be in Grand Rapids. They want us there primarily for their business meeting because the way they're organized, that's the group that really makes motions and helps guide what MERS does. There are other benefits of sending someone to the conference. There are some very good sessions in there that talk about retirement. talk about options that MERS has for our employees. And they also update us on things like actuary analyses, like features that come with that to help us prepare for budgeting for future years as well. I think Tracy's an excellent choice to send in that she's the person that administers this for the county anyway. She's willing. I don't want to say that she's absolutely excited about it, but it's something that she does gain benefit from.
She actually does really like going to that. She does get a lot of information out of that she uses, so it is beneficial.
So there, is a good reason that she would be the one to represent the employer.
Anything to add that? Brett, did you have anything to add to that?
No.
She does an amazing job. Anything else, guys? All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 9, claims. Claims for $364,292.15, and Commissioner Wiltie and Commissioner Scott did claims.
I'll make a motion that we,
Motion, Commissioner Scott?
motion to, pay the claims, accept the claims. whatever.
Second.
Motion, Commissioner Scott, support from Commissioner Wiltie. You guys have the floor.
I looked them over. I know they look pretty big at 300,000, but $152,000 was a bus at Transit. And this is kind of like the thing I was saying last week. When you take a look at the budget numbers, there was 152,000 laying out there, and the check hasn't been cut yet. So you don't see the actual number. The week before, you and I passed $111,000 payment to MDOT at the airport meeting.
Yes.
So, $100,000 swings can happen every week. So, but other than that, the other remaining 150 didn't look out of play. When we had a couple of small questions, we called the treasurer's office about one of them, and Karen enlightened us a little bit, but really, it was business as usual.
Anything else, Commissioner Wiltie?
Well, I'm here, Commissioner Scott. We were sitting next to each other with the claims together.
Any questions?
Can you say the amount one more time?
Oh, let me go back to it.
Oh.
It was a lot. 300. Sorry. $364, $292.15.
$364,000.
$364,292.15. What'd I say?
$364.
Oh, sorry. Roll call vote.
Roger Mayhew,
Yeah.
Charles Wiltie,
Yes.
Brenda Simmons.
Yep.
Craig Scott,
Yes.
Jenny David.
Yes. Unfinished business? Administrator / controller report.
Got the written report on the iPads. Let's start by addressing some statements that were really questions that were raised at the last regular meeting. Particularly the question about how certain contracts had cancellation notices that were sent and how layoff notices were put together. The question was, how did this happen without board approval? In fact, the board had approved these actions through contracts that you had signed, and starting with the layoff issue, there's a section in the collective bargaining agreement that said unambiguously that any employee who is scheduled for a layoff shall have 21 days advance notice. Back in the August 22nd regular meeting, I pointed out that we had a few of these contracts that were going to need attention. Because our fiscal year was going to start on October 1. We now have deadlines that are established in those contracts that were approved by this board. And so that's why those layoff notices were generated. There was also a question about the inmate housing agreement we have with Oscoda County. Well, similarly, there was a requirement in there that if the contract were to be terminated for any reason, written notice of not less than 30 days had to be issued. So it was. And the final one had to do with the inmate healthcare services contract. This one was a little more alarming in that had we not issued the written notice of termination, that contract would have self-renewed on October 1st and would have cost us additional funding going into fiscal year 25. So very important that that notice be sent as well. So those are all part of the contracts that were approved by the board. Part of my job, it's listed right in my job description, is to administer the day-to-day business of the county. This is part of that. So that's how those notices were issued. There was another question about a transaction between the commissary fund and the transit fund. A $5,570 transfer that was made from the commissary fund to the transit fund. This was the result of an auditor adjusting journal entry, or AJE, that we see each year when we go through the audit. In fact, we've seen pages of these in the past. They're not as many as there used to be, but in this case, it was journal entry number 45, where the auditor said a check that was issued to Motorola in March of 23 paid for equipment that was installed on a new transit van and a jail transport vehicle. Unfortunately, that had been booked, so that the transit fund is the one that was in effect billed for that. This corrected that issue and said, okay, transit or commissary fund, you need to pay for that jail transport vehicle and reimburse transit for what they paid. This also has to do with the way the fixed assets are reported in the audit. Our transit fund is dependent in significant part on federal money, which results in our having to do what's called, you may be familiar with the term, the single audit, where we look at how those funds were spent, and the auditors have to balance that to show that the funds that were spent were proper. And so this adjusting entry that went into our general ledger corrected that. So there's nothing nefarious going on. It was just a matter of making sure the bills were allocated to the proper fund. So that set the record straight on those issues. We pulled new business item 9C tonight that had to do with the medical examiner. I'm switching gears on you now. You may recall a series of emails over the last 30 days about the current medical examiner and his resignation, which will take effect on September 30th. The MISFM, the Michigan Institute of Science and Forensic Medicine that we contract with for medical examiner services, is in the process of bringing on a new doctor who is qualified to be our medical examiner. We will have all of the background material for that individual probably tomorrow, certainly by Monday. So at the next committee of the whole meeting next week, this will be on the agenda. The board will be required by statute to appoint a medical examiner. There's no choice. You have to do that. So in order to do that, though, you do deserve to see the background of the individual, the resume, make sure that the qualifications are there. That's just part of your due diligence. So that will be on the agenda. This will be a proposal to fill the current term of the medical examiner, which I think ran until 2027. We'll have all that for you on the tweet. Now, it does mean, in all likelihood, there's going to be a gap between September 30th and your first regular meeting, which I think is October 10th, to where there will be literally a vacancy there. MISFM has assured us that they will continue to service the county, won't miss a beat. They do have medical examiner investigators that still serve the county. They believe they'll have all of that under control. But we'll have opportunity to talk about that in greater detail next week, and I hope MISFM will have a representative here to talk us through what's going on. We don't usually have this much conversation about medical examiners, so this is pretty unusual. And I think it's important that they are here to, either through Zoom or live, to help walk us through what's going on. I'll also get you a copy of the contract that we have so that you can see what the obligations are on their end, and we can all walk away assured that we're meeting the obligations as a county. Last thing, before you all leave, you might have noticed on that indigent council agreement that the judge has asked for all commissioners to sign that contract. That's unusual. We typically have chair sign on behalf of the board. But okay, I'll circulate that among you all, so just to make sure that you are here to sign that before you leave tonight. I'd appreciate that. And I also have some MERS paperwork for you too, for everybody except for Commissioner Scott, because you're already enrolled. And I'll just briefly talk to you individually about what we need there. That is.
You have to enroll.
The short answer is yes. Do you have to enroll? Yes. That's just the way the defined contribution is set up. So, but I'll talk to you individually about that and what that means.
Any questions for Tim?
I just asked him that regarding this medical examiner, we've had so many back and forth with this, and we know the importance of this. Like when we don't have to use $100,000 plus per year, and obviously it sounds to me that they may not be able to fulfill their contract. But I think it'd be really good for them to have somebody here in person, not via Zoom.
I talked to the CEO this afternoon yet to get the latest update on it. I'm convinced they are working on it. I don't know. I couldn't lay you odds on what's going to happen here for sure, but it does appear that they have a very qualified individual with multiple years of experience as a medical examiner that they have ready to sign on. So I'm waiting to see that paperwork, and then we'll be able to share with you all the background that goes with that. We can look at the qualifications and you can make an informed decision.
Thank you.
Has the Northern Medical Examiner Agency reached back out?
I've had a couple of agencies reach out to the county saying they are there if we need them. So, that's good to know, but we are under contract right now, and if we're going to do anything different, there's a process we'd have to talk about.
Okay, and they'll be there next week.
That's the plan, yes.
Any other questions for Tim? Elected officials and department head reports. Clerk, sorry.
Yep, Brett Gildner, Ogemaw County Clerk. We received our ballots last week, so the local clerks are in the process of trying to get all the absentee ballots out to anybody who is requested one. The state right now is having a really big push on people signing or registering to vote and filling out applications to get an absentee ballot. There's a group who sent out a mass mailing with my office return address on it for applications for absentee ballots. Those have to go to the township clerks. So if anybody asks you, any absentee ballot applications have to go to the township clerks, not to me. Other than that, we are going to be testing our election equipment on 2 weeks and doing the early voting again.
When's the early voting start?
26th of, hold on, October 26th through November 3rd, and it will be in the commissioners' chambers of the county building, 8:30 to 4:30.
Good.
That's it. Oh, actually, I do have one more thing. I would like to, on behalf of my office, I would like to congratulate Lieutenant Castleman and Detective Lieutenant Stahl on their retirement. They have been amazing to work with. They're gonna be missed, and we appreciate everything that they've done.
Thank you. Treasurer?
Karen Pawlowski, your Ogemaw County Treasurer. I have to say, I'm a bit disappointed that negative cash was not addressed tonight. I understand you want to do it in phases. I'm hopeful that we can take a step in that direction within this next year when you see the progress of this inflection point that we're at. It's a time of significant change. And I truly hope that part of that change is to address the negative cash, even if it's in steps. Take that step forward this year, please. Thank you.
Sure.
You took my thunder away from me.
I'm so sorry, but I really do appreciate them, and I'm gonna miss them.
Yeah, we do too. There's a lot of knowledge
Yeah.
walking out the door today, a lot of knowledge. So we are all gonna miss them very deeply. I just want to make one comment on the Gladwin, the research you did, Brenda, on Gladwin. They've got 1 lieutenant and 4 sergeants and 9 depths, so.
That's what I said, didn't I?
Yes, I'm looking for 1 lieutenant and 2 sergeants. Thank you. That's all I have.
Any other elected officials, department heads? Anybody on the phone? Jeff? Denise? If anybody wants to talk? I just asked if anybody wants to talk. Assuming she has nothing. Matters from the floor, any commissioners?
Jeff's hand is up.
Oh, Jeff's got a thumbs up. You're good, Jeff? Motions for adoption?
Yeah, I got a motion for adoption.
Go ahead.
Let's start the 3-year program. I'll make a motion that we take $183,333 out of the ARPA funds and pay the first installment of 3 into the negative cash.
Support.
What'd you say?
183.33. And I'll just round it off as 0 cents instead of going down to the 33.
Thank you.
We have a motion with support. Discussion?
What was that number again?
183,333 and no cents.
183,333.
Yes.
Any other discussion?
For the first year of a 3-year plan.
Yes,
3-year plan or just a 3-stage? I don't think we need to wait 3 years.
3 stage.
Free what, please?
First of 3 stages.
First installment of 3.
So we do it 1 installment every year?
No,
Could you please explain how those installments would be, please?
When we can afford it.
Oh, we can't afford it now.
Commissioner, let him finish. This is
Sorry,
his motion.
I'm sorry.
My opinion, we can afford it out of the ARPA fund. My opinion.
I did make you $100,000 in interest income.
work.
So did you finish your motion? Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I make motion, we take, the first payment of a 3 installment plan out of the ARPA funds to pay for the toward the negative cash balance.
Comment,
Is that your motion, Commissioner Scott?
That's it.
And you supported it, correct, Commissioner Wiltie?
correct.
Go ahead, you have a comment. Go ahead.
So if we would do this today, it would be a great example and show of support that we know that we are moving in the right direction. We have a long way to go. But with continued hard work, consistency, we are gonna get there. That's the only option. We are gonna get there. And if we made this payment today, we still would have, Karen, you could help me with this, $1.1 million, $1.1+ million improvements. And also with this right direction that we're heading, like we talked about, we're gonna have tax revolving funds, and that money that's safely to use for that is made for these purposes of capital improvements.
I have that balance for you today also, if you'd like to hear that.
Okay,
The revolving fund balance, would you
please.
like me to state that? Your current cash and investment total of all tax funds, that means your actively collected funds and your tax revolving fund, added together, your balance is $5,136,871 as of today. And your ARPA again was $1,305,023.
Any further comments over here?
What's the estimated interest this year on just the tax revolving fund itself? Would you have that?
I don't have that with me today.
You have an estimate of last year's?
I don't, because when I examined it, I really only focused on the
It
ARPA.
used to be around 300,000.
It's greater than that.
It's great.
However, the Feds did just change the rates
Okay,
by 50 basis points. So we are now in a declining interest market.
it's probably in excess of $183,000, though.
Definitely.
Okay.
I need you at least 100,000 just on the ARPA alone, ARPA by itself.
Yeah.
Commissioner Simmons?
I guess maybe I misunderstood. Was it the tax revolving fund that we had to leave alone so we could make everybody even?
You need at least 3 million to do tax settlement.
So we use part of that this year. What would happen next year? I don't want to leave you short to making everybody even. That's my concern.
You won't, but I thought they were saying ARPA funds.
Yeah.
Did you say ARPA funds?
I said take it from the ARPA funds. I was just asking about tax revolving fund in the interest of using it for capital expenditures,
So we-
capital improvements.
I'm sorry.
I can tell you what the current interest rates are that I'm earning. On the CDs, I'm earning anywhere from 4.13% to 4.68%. The ARPA fund up till just recent, it was holding at 5.3%. This morning, I believe I was at 5.01% on the pooled funds at Michigan class. So healthy interest income.
Commissioner Simmons, did you have something more?
And so my understanding is then for capital improvements, we can use that $5,136,000.
I recommend that you don't go below 3 million so that we can stay self-funded.
I guess my concern is if you have 3 million left,
2 million left.
okay, if you need 3 million, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
So what's gonna happen the following year? Are we gonna have enough going into there to make everybody even? Cause that's really not a capital improvement, that's saving our neck sort of thing by making everybody equal.
You have to, in the best interest of our community, stay self-funded. Last year it was 3 million.
Yeah.
Are you done, Commissioner Simmons?
About these installments. I mean, are they 1 month apart? Are they 183,000 annually? Are they what? I see.
You can make another motion, you can make another motion and set that up. I'm just made one motion here.
I understand, but what
to
are your
make
thoughts
this
on that?
installment the first of three. Do you want to have another motion following this vote to set up a certain installment schedule?
Tim, is that vote even valid when there's no time frame? It just says 3 installments. I mean,
Yeah, it's fine. It's just leaving it open-ended is all.
okay. Are we done, Commissioner Simmons?
I just like to know when those installments gonna be. And how it's gonna affect us financially. Tim?
I like what I hear about the amount of interest that's already been earned, so it's the impact is, like half of what it would be otherwise. So these are funds that were just earned. They weren't part of the original ARPA or anything. The fact that those funds were there brought in these other funds. So, that's pretty helpful. But the point is not lost on me. There's still a significant amount left in ARPA to deal with some of the other infrastructure issues that we wanted to address. So ultimately, I would be absolutely fine with this. Not that I get a vote.
What the installment plan mean?
Sure, just something to get us moving in that direction.
Okay.
I don't feel, again, I will state my own opinion that we've already used $2 million of ARPA funds. I'm agreeing and headed in the right direction. We just heard interest rates. I think that we can form a plan over the next 3 years with our budget moving forward. I do not want to utilize any ARPA funds to fix this problem. I don't feel as though those ARPA funds were meant for this. Agreed, it's not best practice. However, again, it's not illegal. It's been practiced here for years. Yes, I want to correct it, but I want to do it in a way to where we don't go back to it. So I personally would like to find a plan with some of the funds that Karen just reported to fix this negative cash flow. I, again, do not want to use ARPA funds.
Can I make a comment?
Go ahead.
It just blows my mind listening to that statement, Commissioner David, when you agreed to pay $2 million of ARPA funds over the years to balance a budget that was completely 100% not sustainable. We have an opportunity right now. We're just asking for $183,333. We still will have around $1.1 million in ARPA funds. As Karen said, right now, our tax revolving fund is actually in a position, if we wanted to, smartly, to use a little bit of money for capital improvements as well. So we have the money there to do capital improvements, and I agree 100%. We need to get more aggressive with that, and I will definitely help with that as much as I can.
You're gonna give us some money?
No, get in motion.
Where's your government from?
Get in motion to figure out what exactly we need to do at the county building that's gonna save us money for the future.
When these decisions were made, you were not sitting there 4 years ago. So shame on you for judging me. This is my opinion. I haven't changed it. We utilized $500,000 over 5 years, or 4 years, excuse me, to keep the employees that we had. COVID did impact, employees, day-to-day workflow. That's what we utilized, those monies at that time, to keep everybody working, which was very difficult then. So I'm entitled to my opinion and I have it.
You are, and I'm also entitled to mine.
Your opinion doesn't blow my mind.
Okay.
Any other comments? Roll call vote.
Charles Wiltie,
Yes.
Brenda Simmons. No. Craig Scott,
Yes.
Jenny David,
No.
Roger Mayhew.
No.
Commissioner reports. Commissioner Wiltie.
This past Monday, I was at the EDC. We had a workshop on QuickBooks. It was attended well. We had 11 or 12 county residents there. This coming Monday, we're gonna have another workshop starting at 6 o'clock at Michigan Works. It'll be on customer service, so that'll be a good workshop. Monday, we also had an in-face meeting, for MSU Extension. It was great to have an in-face meeting and meet some more people in the region involved with Extension. And I found out that I'm always finding out more things with MSU Extension. They have a big role in helping our veterans. They have a couple programs that are just solely for our veterans. So I did reach out to Mr. Nichols via email this week, just to make sure that we were constant and consistent working with them to help our veterans. That's all I have right now.
Commissioner Scott.
Well, the only thing I've been involved in, and I reported earlier, was sat down with our law enforcement and Gladwin County, and that's all I've had since the last meeting.
Commissioner Mayhew.
I had nothing.
Commissioner Scott, or Simmons.
Had a couple meetings. I had to leave one early and then there was one I could not attend at all because of personal issues. So right now I don't have anything since the last meeting.
I don't have anything neither. There was a meeting here Tuesday night, so I wasn't able to attend the special meeting at Logan. However, I did have an individual there. It's a special meeting called related to trash. It got pretty physical. Police were called. One of the individuals on the board, just a brief scenario of what took place. One of the individuals on the board sent out letters to residents related to the trash cost. The clerk requested that the letter not be sent out because it hadn't went through the board and there wasn't board approval. And the individual that was sending out the letters is no longer going to be on the board as of November. So that's what the special meeting was about. Unfortunately, the letters went ahead and went out. They did not get board approval. So they had the meeting and it got pretty heated. It was adjourned. Things happened in the parking lot. The state police were called. I don't believe anybody got arrested, but there's gonna be more to come on that. There's a lot of things. A lawyer had been contacted without board approval. There's a lot of things going on without board approval. As far as that board goes as a whole, hopefully with some new board members, that is the township that I reside in. Hopefully with some new board members that can be straightened out, run correctly, because it's definitely not. So I'm sure they're gonna request police backup in the next couple months. It's definitely a very unsafe environment over there right now. Which is not good. So. Anyways, did you guys, general public comment? Any general public comment in the room? Any general public comment on the phone? I think I've seen somebody's hand up. April, did you have your hand up?
Yes, can you hear me?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's okay. 1 second. Go ahead, April.
I just want to thank Commissioner Wilsey and Commissioner Scott for trying to take a bite out of that can. I'm very disappointed it didn't get done. Thank you.
Come on up, ma'am. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. I was all the way in the back. My name's Alexandra Clemens. I'm here with MSU Extension, actually. I am the SNAP Ed Community Nutrition Instructor. I just have a really quick overview of my last year. It wasn't enough to fit into something that actually was put on the agenda, but I still wanted to come and introduce myself. So I teach nutrition and physical activity programming throughout Ogemaw County, but also through Roscommon and Aranac. So I cover a pretty wide range of our district. My district director is Julie Darton, which I know you all know quite well. And I partner with schools, senior centers, food pantries, and other eligible community organizations. I could be going into a school 7 times throughout the year. I could be going into a food pantry 12. It just kind of depends on what they need and what I can offer. The goal is to increase the likelihood that individuals will make a healthier choice that will lead to a healthier lifestyle. So I am funded by SNAP, the SNAP grant, if you're familiar with that, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which is state funded, of course, by a grant. And so my new year is about to begin. And this past year, I've been in Ogemaw Alternative Education Academy, and I've done a course with them. I did a one-time presentation with the Rose City Summer Rec program where the kids and I did a lot of physical activity, and that was a lot of fun. I was out at the Kids Day for the Ogemaw County Fair, and I saw probably 300 and plus children, and we did some physical activity together there. And then I'm also looking forward to working with our veterans. As you said, moving forward, we have done a lot of new work with the veterans focused programming within MSU Extension, and SNAP Ed is also involved in that. And I'm currently planning, as of today, to start a program with the Ogemaw Commission on Aging this fall, as well as West Branch Rose City Schools. So I have a lot planned, and I'm based in Roscommon, so I'm not here a lot, but I'm hoping to get over here a lot more. And then I can give you a little bit more in-depth overview or in-depth look as to what I do moving forward. If you ever have any questions, you can contact Julie or you can contact me, and I'm happy to answer them for you.
Thank you.
Will you tell me your last name one more time?
Clemens, Clemens. Thank you.
Any other general public comment? Come on up, ma'am.
I just want to introduce myself
Hi.
to you guys. My name is Carrie Nearing, and I am the new MEI for the county. And I would be happy to come your next meeting and answer any questions that you guys have.
Perfect. Next week.
Yeah, we can tonight, 5:30.
Okay.
Please spell your name for me, please.
Keri. Do you want the last name?
Yep.
N as in Nancy, EARING.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Any other public comment? Any public comment on the phone? Oops, sir, I'm sorry. Come on up.
Apologies, it'll take a moment.
You know the rules.
Yes, but I'm not gonna sit. It takes
Okay.
too long to get up.
Go ahead.
I was just sitting there thinking about this proposal Mr. Scott, or Commissioner Scott just ran by the board. Frankly, I think that's kind of innovative and forward thinking, especially based on the treasurer's report with the interest we've earned. ARPA stands for American Rescue Plan. I can't think of a better use of American Rescue Plan money than helping this county. I mean, we've been through a lot the last few years, as has the whole country with COVID and the repercussions from that. So I would like to see you revisit that issue and perhaps explore Mr. Scott's proposal over the next 3 years. Thank you. Oh,
Thank
Steve Yukas, Mills Township.
Thank you.
YUCHASZ. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment on the phone? I think somebody's got their hand up.
It's actually been there, I think, the whole meeting.
Okay. No public comment on the phone? Going once? Motion to adjourn? Favor say aye.
I'll be right
Opposed?
back.
Thank you.